Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. We have another video where there was an exclusive interview with Myrla Féria. She's speaking out on why she ended her marriage with Gil Cuero from Married at First Sight Season 10. So before we jump into this video, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. If you like the video, smash that like button, and also feel free to drop a comment down in the comment section below, like you guys always do. I enjoy watching what you have to say and the comments that you give on the videos. So I want to give a shout out first of all to Reality TV with B. She allowed me to do a response to her exclusive interview. Thank you so much for the collab. I appreciate this because she wanted me to share it with my channel as well. And you know I always like to keep you guys updated with anything I come across. So thank you so much again, Reality TV with B. So she did this interview with Myrla, and of course, as we remember, you know, Myrla and Gil, even the show itself with the other cast members, it was definitely a roller coaster. It had so much drama throughout the entire season. The one couple in particular that we're speaking about in this video, which is Gil and Myrla, you know, they definitely had their highs and lows. You know, other than what everybody else experienced. And it seemed each week progressed as they got closer. The fans were, you know, believing that they were a absolute love story that was actually blossoming. Now, you know, we also then saw the reunion, which definitely brought some shocking moments with these two. And it sent, you know, the audience in a tailspin. And then, of course, just after 14 days after the decision day, we found out Myrla wanted to end her marriage with Gil. And, of course, we saw how devastated he was. But, you know, what happened in those 2 weeks after decision day for her to get to this point? Were there deal breakers? Was there an actual relationship with Johnny? So RTB actually got the chance to do this, you know, this exclusive interview with Myrla, asking the tough questions. And, you know, she definitely didn't hold back. So let's talk about RTB's interview that she had with Myrla. So RTB asked her, you know, first of all, why did she even apply for Married at First Sight? And according to Myrla, you know, she decided to apply for MAVS because she wanted to find the person that she could spend her life with, grow with, and eventually have kids with. Dating has, you know, always been a struggle and not something that she's prioritized and investing time in. So she decided that MAVS, you know, was an option to try, especially when her two best friends suggested the idea. RTB asked what type of man was she looking for. And what she said is that she asked the experts for a God-fearing, financially stable, driven, kind, tall, dark, handsome man. Bald and beardless was something she said she did not want as well, but it was not a deal breaker. And RTB did ask her, well, what were the deal breakers listed in the areas you were unwilling to compromise on? Myrla stated, you know, she was not willing to compromise on God-fearing, financial stability, meaning someone who knew how to manage their finances and was in a financially similar place as she was, which meant healthy savings, investments, retirement, and who spends within their means. I find that interesting. And RTB, you know, asked, you know, her personal comfort level was to take things slow physically, with patience for Gil. She warmed up to him, and it seemed that you were very openly affectionate. And Myrla responded, you know, Gil has a great heart, good intentions as a husband. And she saw that very early on. They had many conversations and interactions. Did not make the show, but they had a lot of fun together. And that's the only thing I will say about reality TV. We don't get to see everything. We don't get to see everything. They have a narrative to create for drama. Each one has a particular storyline that they want each couple or contestant to carry. So even though things maybe happen one way, they could look a different way. I always talk about that on this channel. That's why I try to be as objective as possible. So RTB asked her, can you bring some clarity to telling Dr. Pepper that Gil made you happy every single day and was above and beyond what you prayed for, with the contrasting revelation that you were unhappy and never felt attraction or chemistry with him? So her response, meaning Myrla, was that she said that those statements held true in that conversation with Dr. Pepper. The other part of the conversation you didn't get to hear was, I was not initially attracted to him, but my attraction grew over the course of the experience. Now, with that statement, I thought we did hear that. I thought she did say that, but obviously maybe this was another piece we didn't see. But I always heard her say that part of it. But, as time went on, it seemed like she really, got into Gil as what we saw. Okay. She did say that she continued to focus on the positive and knew that although she wasn't initially attracted to her husband, and that they were different in many aspects, as she said the fans saw, that she was always open to see if it would change, and she said it did. Now, she did say again, my attraction to him did grow over a course of 8 weeks, and what you saw was me opening up because of that. So that does acknowledge the fact that what we saw is what we saw. For her to actually say that, which that's what we saw. We saw her start out one way, and then by the end of 8 weeks, she was talking about at the end of Decision Day making babies in the next year and a half. So I know you guys remember that. RTB asked her, one of the things viewers grew to love about you is how they thought she was real, clear, respectful communication was something you said you valued and had with your husband. When Gil said he was blindsided, it was difficult to reconcile that action with your words. Share some insight on why you weren't open and honest with how you were feeling. Now, this is her response. Take notice. Myrla says, I was open and honest. Unfortunately, the viewers didn't get to see the entirety of the conversations that we had off camera. The rest of the conversation that you didn't get to see with the experts and Gil was, ultimately my emotions showed me that our life aspirations and our values, coupled with a lack of financial stability, was not aligned. I was in a place where I felt disconnected and said, I share my concerns, but you shut me down, dismissed my feelings in a disrespectful manner. So this is what she thought. She claimed, and we didn't get to see any of that she expressed her feelings, but whatever reaction that she felt that she received from Gil, she felt that she was being dismissed in a disrespectful manner. Now, whatever that means, I don't know. I don't want to go to the deep end. We weren't there as privy to the conversation because most people look at the word disrespectful as being abusive. I'm not going to even go there. Okay. And as you guys know, I don't do that type of thing in my videos. I just speak objectively. There's always his truth, her truth, and the actual truth. So we don't know, but this is how she's saying that she felt. So, she can actually say, how she felt. RTB asked, were there signs that were missed? And Myrla's response was the way Gil portrayed it. It sounded like we had a marvelous 14 days and then bam, done. I ended the relationship. The actuality is that it was 14 days of trying to discuss huge issues in our marriage, but also the lack of discussion and ownership on Gil's part played a huge part in me finally deciding to end it. And again, we don't know the details of what that means. So whatever that ownership that she wanted Gil to take, we don't have the details on that, but that's how she's expressing, what she's saying in regards to that discussion, or the lack thereof, she actually said. So that's her response. RTB asked, it's understandable if the attraction wasn't there, but given those circumstances, can you expound on the decision to stay married and allow Gil to sell all his possessions? Myrla's response was, as I mentioned, my attraction was not initially there, but it grew. Okay, we've heard that several times. On decision day, I did have the doubts and concerns we discussed throughout the 8-week process, but I still hoped that our relationship would flourish. I shared that with him and the experts on decision day, as I had done multiple times over the course of the experiment. I said, I made a choice to love you because I see the goodness in your heart. I'm not in love with you, and you know that, right? And he agreed and had communicated he was okay with that to the experts and me. I definitely know he did not sell everything because he had a storage unit. So that final statement about the fact that he did not sell everything because he had a storage unit, I mean, it's two different opposites. I would think he knew what he had, and obviously she thinks that he had a storage unit. So basically she's trying to dispute the fact that he didn't sell everything. We don't know. I would also, because in his lives, and I've been posting them on this channel, he really hasn't went into detail. He does want to keep it above board. He wants to be respectful, and that's absolutely fine. But this is her response to this, so I wanted to share it with you guys. Moving on, she asked, another surprise. This is RTB. Was hearing on the reunion special that you were bothered when Gil called you brat, a diva, or high maintenance. You shared in a moment that you received it well. Myrla's response was, I was trying for this to not be an issue, but it got to a point where it did bother me. And reflecting back, I could have done a better job of telling him to not call me those things more clearly. The interesting thing is, and I posted this in one of my videos before, is that we saw at the beginning of the season where she had a sit down with her friends, and there was also her guy friend there. And they all were saying that she was a diva, high maintenance. She called herself a bit bougie and things like that. So this is not something that I don't think she have not heard before. She may have not liked it coming from Gil. But one of the things that was mentioned at the reunion is that she's never heard those things before. And it's, I find that interesting because we did see that at the beginning when she announced to her friends that she was going to be matched and married. And that's when they made the conversation. And even her guy friend was saying that, he give best wishes or high hopes for the person that she married. So, I find that a bit interesting, but hey, she did say she wished she could communicate that clearly. So RTB actually went on what she said about communications and asked her thought process on not communicating her feelings to Gil on that subject. She stated, I felt I communicated those things during our conversation by stating to him that I was not, and consistently asked him for examples in which we both disagreed. When something is not true, I usually am not bothered by it. However, I was bothered to learn that he was also saying these things to others while I was not present. He did not disclose this to me, and as you saw, I never call him names. And I know a lot of fans had issues with that, about him saying those things to the other couples when she wasn't around. A lot of times I also think production orchestrate things. They get them to talk about things. If you go to my Reels section, I have an entire clip about how production teams move and how they manipulate and try to get conversations started, get in contestants' heads. They maneuver things to fit how they want it for the show. So it wouldn't surprise me that they did, ask about it. The only thing I will put with Gil is that maybe he should have came back and say, hey, I talked about some of what I said to the other couples in front of the camera, so that maybe she could have been aware, if that did not happen. But I do find it interesting that in the previous question, she said that she should have done it more clearly. And then in the second question, she said, I did communicate it clearly. So, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, she felt what she felt. So let's move on. RTB asked, did you understand that poking fun at someone was a way he showed he liked them? Like that person? Her response, meaning Myrla, said, I can describe behaviors I don't like, but resorting to name calling is not something I expected going into this process. It was a new experience for me and an immature way for him to communicate. Now, like I said earlier, obviously she heard this from her friends, even the guy friend, because they sat around the table and talked about it. There's a clip that I have. It might be on my Instagram on Romance Review TV, where I showed that clip, but I guess obviously she didn't want her husband to talk about these things. So RTB asked, you told the experts that there were things that happened after decision day that didn't make you feel safe with Gil in making joint decisions about your financial future. Can you open up about that and the impact it had on your decision to divorce him? Her response, meaning Myrla, said, yes, that had a huge impact on my decision. As you know, I'm huge on financial stability. That to me means that someone lives within their means, saves, and knows how to manage their finances. I ideally wanted someone who was in a similar financial position that I was. I became aware of some things post-decision day that I was not okay with. Gil and I had multiple conversations about this and how it made me feel. He did not see or acknowledge his action/behavior in a way that was conducive to trust and respect in a marriage. There was some dishonesty I discovered as well. All of these things led to me making the decision to end the marriage. Now, she did not elaborate on whatever this dishonesty that she discovered. Whatever his actions and behaviors in a way that was conducive to trust and respect in the marriage, or he, did not acknowledge his actions. We don't have the clarity on that and what that means. And, I was hoping maybe she would have gave some, a little bit more details of what he maybe was dishonest about, or whatever actions or behavior that wasn't conducive to trust and respect in the marriage. But she didn't. And whatever that is, we probably will never know because, obviously she had the opportunity to say so, but she didn't. But the biggest thing, it seems like, was the financial stability. So, we saw that, Gil said he made $100 more every 2 weeks. He has a great pension. I do know from his lives that he is currently going to medic school. He's currently still a fireman, and he's moving into his new place in about 10 days where him and Hype, because he got to pick up Hype at the end of the month, where they will be residing. So, whatever that is, I know that some people have a different way of living, very thrifty, very frugal. And then you have some people who say, I want to live my life the way I see fit. I got the money, let me spend it. That's what we saw with Olivia and Brett in season 11. So, people have their ideologies on how their financial life should look like and how they should move through their financial life. In this particular situation, it was not a match. Could have been something that they could have gotten over, probably. But if a person don't want to change and the other person don't want to change, or the other person don't feel that change is getting up to where they want it to be, it's not going to work. And we definitely saw that in this example. So RTB, she, dived deeper. She said, give us insight on what specifically happened in 14 days to take you from saying you wanted to stay married on decision day to the breaking point of wanting a divorce. She, meaning Myrla, stated that she reached a place where the feelings that she felt Coupled with a series of events and conversations began to deteriorate, I could no longer see myself staying in the marriage, and I decided to do what was best for myself and my future. She asked another question. It sounds like you and Gil agreed to live together for a month, but it didn't go well. Miller's response, well, we were in a tough position on different pages and living together at the same time. Next thing she asked, RTB asked, was what was the goal of that arrangement, and were you open to actively working on your relationship during that time, or was your mind already made up? Miller's response was, I accepted that this marriage was not going to work, but I was not going to ditch someone after going through this experiment together. Gil will always be a part of my life because what we went through, and there was still care and respect for one another. I thought we could get through this in an amicable way. However, continuing to live together was no longer the best option. So honestly, in my response, if you know something is not going to work, it's not a good idea to continue to go down a pathway with someone, even though you know in your hearts of hearts this is not going to work, because it's going to hurt even worse at that point than say, maybe we should end this now. So, I mean, even though in her mind she accepted that the marriage was not going to work, but she was not just going to ditch someone after going through this experiment together, it still didn't end well in the end, even though she felt maybe I'll just weigh out the pros and the cons. Anytime a breakup happens, unless it's 100% mutual, it usually has that sad outcome. So, I think maybe she should have said no at decision day, and none of this aftermath would have happened. If you knew you weren't going to, maybe had some doubts, you didn't see yourself the long term, it probably would have been best to end it right there. So RTB asked, during this time, were you communicating your thoughts to each other? Miller's response was, we continue to have conversations throughout these days about our relationship and went to therapy together to get closure and figure out how we could both live together respectfully during that time. I'm glad he took my advice to continue therapy. At that point, I knew I was making the right decision to separate. So this is something that we wasn't privy to know. I know that he went through therapy, but she's stating that they actually did couples therapy, which we didn't hear anything about that. And, I honestly suggest that therapy is always good. I consider it mental health is just as important as physical health, and advise anybody who needs to do that, do a mental checkup. Feel free. I mean, there's a ton of apps out here. If you can't get to an actual in-office therapist, there's a lot of things that you can choose. BetterHelp is one of them. I'm not sponsored by them at all, but I do know that they're a great outlet for help. RTB asked, help us to understand your comfort level with what happened as very flirtatious behavior and innuendos regarding your relationship with Johnny. To the viewers, it felt very cold and uncaring, and to openly do that in the presence of Gil, who had just told Kevin Frazier he was still in love with you. So Miller's response was, many of you don't know me and how I can open up, especially with those I love dearly. I am a very affectionate person with all my friends, male and female. Gil knows this about me and has been around Johnny and me. He knew we were dear friends, so he should not act surprised by this, just like he knew we were all in Mexico together since he was originally going to come with us. Brett, Johnny, Zach, Rachel, and I have built a strong friendship soon after filming on the volleyball court, and this is how we all grew close. Gil attended some of those games as well in early May. So her response to this whole thing that, with her and Johnny, because, some of the pictures and some of the videos, and even after the season episode, we kind of saw Myrla and Johnny being really, really close and comfortable with each other. Well, according to her, she said Gil knew all about it, and he was actually supposed to go to Mexico with them. Now, none of this came out. And this is her response. I find it very interesting, and I know you guys are going to tell me what you think in the comment section about that. RTB asked, what is your relationship with Johnny now? She said that Johnny and I are best friends and will continue to be. RTB stated to her, Gil is one of the most beloved grooms in the 13 seasons of Married at First Sight. Were you prepared for the social media fallout since the airing of the reunion, and what has that experience been like for you? Myrla stated that she was prepared and the experience has been fine. I know who I am. I know my truth. People's words are just that, words. My life experiences have taught me grit and perseverance. It's going to take a lot more than this to bring me down, and I will continuously be blessed. So, she pretty much took, the high road with this one. Because, Gil is, he just hit over 100K in subscribers. And everything. I love his Q&As. I posted them, both of them, because he did one last Wednesday and did one yesterday. And I did post it on my on this channel, so go check that out. Or you can go to his IG if you have IG, because what I posted is just part of it, because I don't want to take all of his content. So if you want to see the full video, you can also go over there to see the rest of it. And then finally, RTB asked, you expressed that you are thankful for the journey and growth this experience has brought you. Looking back, how have you grown and what lessons have you learned to take forward? Myrla stated, hey, I've learned that attraction can grow, but it can also leave pretty quickly. I've also learned what my deal breakers truly are, and I am solidified in what I want in a future partner. I thought I was tough before this experiment, but I can confidently say that now I am unbreakable. So there you have it. She put it out there. I know I was expecting her maybe to do some type of Q&A, some type of live, but on her IG, she's just been living her best life as she sees fit. She actually got a new dog, which obviously is something that she learned to enjoy by being in this relationship with Gil, because, her and Gil was together taking care of Hype during the 8 weeks and afterwards. So that's one thing that she also learned from this relationship, that she could actually like dogs. So I wanted to put that out there. But I had to say that reality TV would be, shout out to her. She did a very great interview, an exclusive interview with her. Again, I appreciate her sharing this with me and allowing me to bring this to you guys as well, so we can have some conversation about it. I want to give everybody open platform as much as I've done with Gil, and other people that we've had on this show in the previous. I'm gonna also allow the opportunity to see what she had to say. So again, there's always his truth, her truth, and then the actual truth. I will say that, she pretty much gave pretty candid responses. We didn't get details on exactly the behaviors, what was said, the different things in the 14 weeks, in the 14 days after decision day, but maybe that was being diplomatic. Gil has been just as diplomatic as well, kind of warding off the attackers of his ex-wife. He still had feelings for her at one point, and don't want, people coming for her either, So they've been very, I would say, diplomatic. I know what we saw with everything with Johnny and all that was not a good look. It just wasn't. Even though she said they're just friends, and people are going to think what they're going to think. And, that's all that can be said about that. But again, I think it was a great interview. I'm glad she was able to conduct that with her. And then, of course, allowing me to be able to share this with you guys as well. So Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you thought about this interview. Do you think she was being candid, honest, and frank? Or do you think that maybe she left some holes in the story? Something don't add up. I know you guys are going to sound off in my comment section. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you in our next one.